Before my birth, my mom met my father at her job. They started dating, and after a few months, my mom got pregnant with me. When she came to tell my father, he cut her off and broke up with her because his wife found out about her. She never knew that he was married. My mom stayed calm and told my father that she was pregnant and that if he didn't want to be in the life of her child, then he better sign the parental rights to her. He did without hesitation. Fast forward to 18 years later. My mom tells me the truth as I am now an adult and deserve to know the truth. To say I was hurt and humiliated would be like saying that fire is hot. I was angry at my father, at my mother, at everyone. It took me months to get to a point where I could speak to my mom again. She never held it against me. When I found out about my biological father, I looked him up. Dude was rich, living in $1 million house, driving the new car of the year, and had 3 kids. I felt like I was in some sort of movie. That kind of stuff didn't happen in real life, right? After this, I just pushed him out of my mind. If he didn't want me, then I wanted nothing from him. Yesterday, I get a phone call from a lawyer saying he was representing my biological father. Apparently, the man needed a kidney transplant, and he wanted to know if I was a positive match. None of his kids were acceptable because my biological father was O negative. I know that I am a match, and I said, like the idiot that I am, "Oh, just like me." Well, now the man who abandoned me is trying to convince me to give up one of my kidneys. I get that I would save his life and that he really needs it, but I don't want to have anything to do with him. He abandoned me. I get that he didn't want a child with his mistress and that it was a long time ago. I get it. But he wanted nothing to do with me. Now, when he needs something, I magically become important enough for him to remember my existence. A small part of me wants to help him because he needs help and I can do it. But a bigger part of me wants nothing to do with him. The entire day he's been calling me and leaving me messages on my phone, offering thousands for 1 kidney. At one point, the youngest of my half-siblings called and told me, and I kid you not, that my existence has nearly ruined her parents' marriage. That I was selfish for hesitating and that I should be grateful that her father would even think of using one of my kidneys. That this would atone the sin that is my birth. Again, I want to help out those who need it, but I also don't want to have anything to do with my biological father. I feel like a victim and a monster. I'm conflicted and scared, and I don't know what to do. My brother and sister on my mom's side tell me not to do it, as the man is rich and can pay for a kidney. My mom tells me that this is a decision I have to make myself. What should I do? Give him a kidney and deal with my biological father, or refuse and possibly leave him to die? You owe him absolutely nothing. He was a grown man and knowingly cheated on his wife, then ran back to her while leaving your mom a single parent. He's basically a random person. If a random person came up to you and asked for your kidney, you're well in your right to say no. Really, your options are 1. Saying no, flat out no, block their numbers. Let it go because it has nothing to do with you. 2. Agreeing for thousands of dollars. Make his pockets hurt for all the years of abandonment and embarrassment. I would not give him the kidney. He rejected you from the start. You have 0 obligation to him and should not be guilted into this. I get wanting to help out someone in need, but there are so many other people in need that haven't completely cast you aside and essentially pretended you didn't exist for your entire lifetime. If I were you, I would block them all on everything and not give it another thought. Update. Yesterday, I posted that my biological father had reached out to me because he needed a kidney transplant, and I was the only one who could help in all of his kids, which is suspicious since he got 3 other kids. I asked for some time because I was too shocked or emotional to make an informed and mature decision about this. For 2 days, my biological father has called and left messages trying to guilt me or buy my kidney. He cried and begged for help. The worst was his youngest daughter, my half-sister of 24 years old. She called me and accused me of trying to K her father. Not mine, as I'm just a mistake. That my existence had ruined her parents' marriage and that giving my kidney to her father would atone for the sin that is my birth. I kid you not, those were her words. After a few comments and some time off, I realized that I did not have to give my kidney to a man who gave me up. For 28 years, he has not cared once about me, and now, when he's in trouble, I should be grateful for the scraps he throws my way? Hell no. I called my biological father directly and told him that I was not going to give my kidney to him and to never call me back, ever again. I told him of how much pain I had felt my entire life without a father. I told him how cheap and awful I felt that now of all times, he would call me up for something like this. Did he even want a relationship with me after this? His silence was all that I needed to know that I made the right choice. He tried one last time to get me to agree, and I told him that if he kept on talking, I would make a complaint to the police. He got the message and left me alone. His youngest did not. She left me a message that basically said that I was a B, a selfish monster for letting the man who gave me life die like this, that I should do my duty to him, and blah blah blah, a real piece of work. I called her back and told her that I would gladly give up my kidney, my leg, my heart, and my soul to my family. However, since her father gave up his rights to me, then he and his crotch goblins that he has the audacity to pass as children will never be family. Besides, if her father has the money for a brand new Mercedes for her, then he has the money to buy a kidney on the black market. She had said nothing to this. I hung up. I don't know if I'm angry, sad, hurt, or something else right now. It was a hell of a month. First, my sister-in-law steals my stuff. Now this? This year has been hell. Edit. The lawyer had called me on Monday and had asked if I would have been willing to see if I was a match. When I stupidly said that I was O negative, like my bio father, he asked if I was willing to do other tests. I asked for time because I was too shocked, and he agreed to call back in a week. He just called and did not make a fuss or offer me any money for my kidney. I told him that I was going to have a cease and desist against his client and his entire family because of their harassment. The lawyer went silent for a moment and apologized for his client's behavior and promised that I would not be bothered again. Turns out, my bio father knew perfectly well that he wasn't to contact me or anything. Now, since I've listened to all the wonderful advice given to me in such a short time, I have proof. Thanks to you all. My great-grand-aunt died of virus in the beginning of 2020. It's been a huge blow for the entire family, especially her two daughters. The drama between them came to a head when her will was read out. She left both of her daughters 1.5 acres each of land that she owned out in Louisiana. But she left her house to her eldest daughter. That house is a family staple. It was the house my great-aunt lived in when she moved from Louisiana to Washington to be with someone she loved. It was where we celebrated Christmas Eve and Thanksgiving. It made sense that the oldest daughter got the house since she was already living there to begin with. Not to mention, the younger daughter already had a house. One where she just renovated the basement and put a brand new deck in the front. She didn't need the house at all. But my cousin didn't see it that way. So she felt the need to sue her older sister for the rights to the house. She even got her daughter and her niece to turn against her own sister. Her reasons for wanting the house are pretty selfish in my opinion. Her main take for wanting the house was so that she could rent it out to other people. Not even a week before my great-aunt died, she said to her face that making money off the house was going to be her plan. Everyone in the family was so pissed to the point where they all announced that they weren't coming to her wedding. And the ones that were coming would be sitting on the groom's side. Her fiancé was actually a nice guy. You may think that might be a little harsh, but my cousin honestly deserved it. For someone to say that they would claim their mother's house when she dies to her face is nasty. Because of all the backlash she was getting, she ended up dropping the lawsuit and apologizing to her sister. On top of that, the wedding was canceled. I could talk about this for hours because this situation goes in deeper and deeper. I tried to get it as brief as possible. I just hope my family gets better after all that has happened. Oh my God. That's why I hate that family thing so much. People feel entitled to things that in the beginning never belonged to them in the first place. What a human, that cousin of yours. And on top of that, the wedding has been canceled? For context, my half-sister and I have never gotten along due to lies she spread about my father. But that's for another story. I also cut her out of my life for about a year because of a fight. Story. I recently unblocked my sister from social media, hoping we can mend our relationship. My grandparents wanted to take me out to dinner for graduating high school and asked me if I'd be inviting my sister. I didn't want her to make a big deal out of not being invited, so I begrudgingly invited her. She decided to take over planning the dinner and the location. I had suggested the location before, but thought it may be too expensive, so I had another suggestion on the table. She brings her baby. She gave birth 8 months ago, her boyfriend, and her dad, not my dad. I have nothing against this, and the dinner goes smoothly. Everyone is cooing over my nephew, but I don't really mind. As we leave, we stop to take pictures at the entrance of the restaurant. My entitled sister gets everyone to hold her baby except me. I again brushed this off since I'm not good with babies. After the photos are done, I felt pressured to invite her to my graduation, so I did. Here is where the drama begins. All is well until the next day when I check Facebook. My grandmother had reposted a post from my sister. It was all about her baby and his great-grandparents, and it included the pictures taken last night. Not to mention as to why they were there at such a fancy restaurant to meet a baby. No congratulations or mention of me in the post either. I get really upset at this and start crying because she has done this multiple times before, making things about herself. And I thought she had matured after having the baby. My dad helps to calm me down and suggests I uninvite her from the graduation since she hasn't received her ticket yet. I do so in tears because I hate causing drama and fighting. I'm not a confrontational person. She starts going off on me, saying how I was never there for her when she was pregnant. How could I be? She lived in a different state. I was in high school full-time, and we were still no contact. She starts wailing about what a bad aunt I am, as I've never held my nephew, even though she didn't let me. I tell her to can it and stop talking, as I was tired of fighting and didn't wish to fight anymore. That seemed to shut her up, but she still tried to get my uncle and grandfather to come home early for my graduation. What happened after? She blocked my dad and me on all social medias and probably cried wolf to my family. I blocked her back. That was the last I heard from her and will be the last time I see her in my life since I'm moving away. For what it's worth to you, every family has one such starts with B, rhymes with witch, or male equivalent. In my family, it's my sister, and even more, the younger of her 2 daughters, now about 31. I speak from experience here. Blocking your half-sister and minimizing any future contact with her is absolutely the way to go. This will accomplish 2 things. First and foremost, your mental and emotional health will improve. In much the same way that the water in the stream runs much more smoothly when a large rock is removed from the stream. No unnecessary drama from her. Less stress for you. Second, because your half-sister will no longer be able to use you, to blame you for imaginary problems, hijacking your events for her own purposes, etc. She will have to find another target. Her type always has to have someone to use. My sister actually had me convinced for years that her problems were my fault, i.e., if you were a nice sister, this wouldn't, I would fill in the blank with her complaint of the moment. Around 12 years ago, I finally began to recognize this pattern, and my husband helped me to break it. Again, your half-sister will have to find another scapegoat, whipping boy, target, because while she will start out by wailing about you to anyone else who will listen, sooner or later, they're going to get tired of it. Then she'll turn on someone else, and from there, others in your family will begin to realize that she's a passive-aggressive, selfish bee. Being the only child in the family was awesome. I got to have my own room, friends, iPad, etc., which am now obligated to share with my so-called sister. Yes, even friends. They adopted her 1 year ago for a reason. I till now fail to understand, but I strongly believe it's because I was not good enough for them. I'm really hurt because they never ever asked me if I wanted another sibling. I just had to accept the fact that I suddenly have a younger sister and should now share everything I have with her and treat her as part of the family. How am I supposed to do that? I can't just start feeling close to her. And the fact that I am forced to involve her in all my plans infuriates me and makes me hate her even more. Today, my friends and I decided to challenge ourselves to stay awake all day by doing many different sort of things that would keep us from getting bored. Obviously, since we share the same room, my sister heard this and told me she would like to join the activity. I was honestly hoping I could finally do something without her, but of course, she had to ruin it. I told her no, and she said she is going to tell my parents about it. I then got mad and told her to get the duck out of my house and go back to her biological family. Excuse my language. Her voice then changed, and she told me she doesn't know where they are, but I told her to shut the duck up. again, excuse my language, and not get emotional with me because I really had it with her. She left the room, and I started crying because of how stressed she makes me, but realized I should whip my tears fast because my parents can't see me like this. Otherwise, they will believe my adopted sister's words, and I'll get punished for it. She obviously told them, but I denied what I said. I normally don't lie, so they believed my words, and are now talking to her, obviously without being harsh, and will still not punish her, because God forbid they treat my adopted sister wrongly. Am I the a-hole for the way I reacted? Yes, the a-hole. Grow the duck up. Obviously, you don't understand the whole situation. And yes, I can understand it must be very difficult to have your life changed like that with no input. But she is literally just trying to find a family and make friends. She just wants someone she can connect with, and she's trying to do that with you. There are any number of reasons someone adopts a child, and it is rarely, if ever, because they aren't happy with their current child. But even if that is the case, you don't take it out on her. If you have problems, bring it up like a mature, responsible person with your parents. Don't attack someone innocent in this whole situation with the cruelest thing you could possibly say.